Greetings, and once again, welcome to I've Got Your Six from CopBlue. Remember, to keep us on the air, you have to subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and comment on them, as well as hit the notification button. Over the last year, we've had a great number of videos for a great number of subjects that have been very interesting to us, and we hope to you as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to allow you to take a look at some of the clips from those videos over the last year. Hopefully you'll get a laugh out of some of them, and hopefully it'll make you think when you watch some of them. And the whole point of the matter is that at the end of the day, we hope that everyone goes home safe, and that's what this whole thing's all about. I've got your six. So without further ado, here we go, our year in I'veGotYour6.com.
When it makes you take a hit off that joint, makes you shoot that heroin up, snort that cocaine, whatever, but you. And until we embrace the fact in our country and in law enforcement leadership today that we need to get out there and we need to do our job and support your troops that are out there doing their jobs. Just because it's politically advantageous for you to throw a cop under the bus because you feel like, well, it would help my career. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Back the blue car in memorial of all of the police officers who've not only lost their lives in the line of duty, but also the ones who go out there and continue to do the work every day.
Because when bad things are going on, when unprecedented events are taking place, who are we looking to? Well, we look to our police officers, we look to our leaders, we look to our appointed and elected folks who are supposed to be there, whom we're supposed to be able to trust to lead us in the right direction. How about this? The most important one of all, and that is mental health is still taboo in our business. Nobody wants to work with somebody who's been deemed crazy. But it's not crazy to suffer, it's not crazy to suffer emotional trauma because you see bad things. Yeah, we buck up, we deal with it, we do what we have to do, but it weighs on you. Now, a lot of people have problems with that. They don't want you to do that. They want you to write your report and not be able to go back and look at your video before the court case. So that they're trying to say, okay, did this officer forget this? Is he lying? It's ridiculous. That's pretty much what it comes down to. It's just ridiculous. Yet another way for someone to try and get out of doing something that they did. We've closed down businesses, but domestics are still taking place. Thefts are still taking place. Murders are still taking place, except for in the city of Miami. The first time since 1957, we had the article on it, that they haven't had a murder in like an 8-week period. They've had no murders for 8 weeks. First time that's happened since, I believe, 1957. Congratulations, Miami PD. That's awesome. And of course, the county jurisdiction, I'm sure, that surrounds it's also doing an exceptional job. That's awesome. Great work. Great work. I'm sure you guys weren't out making comments about people dying of the coronavirus based upon their sexual orientation. That's just a guess. That we haven't talked about.
Yeah, actually, I do. I think the VA needs to do a little bit better at stepping up. Their research right now is only saying 20 veterans a day. And you know what? It may seem like from 22 to 20 is just a simple two numbers, but it's not. Right. If you think about it, there's over 8,000 veterans taking their life every single day.
Right.
That's an epidemic.
Promotions, let's say. If a promotion is going to be based solely on what the chief or sheriff wants, then lay that out clearly. That this is what I'm going to do because I'm the boss and I choose to.
Right.
I can accept that. Most officers can accept that. They may not like it, but they can accept it.
Right.
Where I have issues overall is when there is some written procedure that continually changes. Let's say, for instance, we're going to promote someone to sergeant. And last month, when we promoted someone to sergeant, it was a college degree was required.
Right.
Next month, because the particular officer I have in mind to promote doesn't have a college degree, we're going to say, or equivalent.
Oh, that just goes away.
And then it always changes. It always changes.
And, you know, that is just one of the things that just really, truly rubs my rhubarb the wrong way.
Jackson was real wide open, fun loving, typical 20-some-year-old kid. And all he ever wanted to do in his life was be a police officer. That was it. He had actually worked for the town of Lakeview and the town of Ladder before coming to us. And he come to us and we got him on. He hounded me for about 6-8 months before we actually hired him.
I hear you. Well, look, how many elections did you run in before you actually won?
Well, the first time I ever offered for a position, I ran for the city council of Darlington, South Carolina.
How'd that work out?
It didn't work out real good, but I remember, I'm gonna tell you a little story about that. Miss Kissler, who was my mentor in a lot of things, and that's who I worked for, she was such a brilliant lady. But I went to her and I told her I was gonna offer for city council and all this sort of stuff, and she told me, she said, do you think you can win? And I said, Miss Kissler, win? You must be lost your mind. I've never lost anything in my life, and I don't need to start losing today. Win ain't gonna be the word for it. Just how big I'm gonna win is gonna be the question.
Right.
So Danny, I offered for city council. There were 14 of us running in the race, and I got beat like a tambourine at a hole in his timber final. I'm telling you, and I just didn't know. So I kind of crawled into my little hole, and 2 or 3 days later, I got a letter in the mail, and I still got it in my safe. And the letter was from Miss Kissler. It simply said this: Mr. Hardy, you said you never lost anything in your life. Well, it's high time you did. And she signed it. And I saved that for all these years. So
Why do you continue to strap on the badge and go to work, man? I'm dying,
I feel like it's a calling for me. When I first got in, I was young, like all of us are, and I was like, oh, this is fun, yay. But as time went on, and you have one person to come up to you, just one, all it takes, and say, thank you for helping me. Thank you for changing my life. Thank you for putting me in jail. I mean, whatever it is, I've had, over my 16 years, I've had, you name it.
Right.
I've had a variety of people who still stay in touch with me to this day from that I locked up when I started, and just thanking me for doing what I did, and that they feel like they would be dead if it wasn't for what we did. So if I can help one person in my career, that's what I'm gonna do.
At the end of the day, what cannot be changed is that you took someone's life. And that is probably one of the most devastatingly tough things to ever have to go through in your entire life. Someone's father, in this particular instance, it was a gentleman, someone's father, someone's uncle, someone's brother, grandfather, whatever, he is no longer with us. And how have you made peace with that? And I know this is a tough question.
It is, but it's like this. I had a lot of help through the years. I think right after the shooting, we went to a counseling session that's offered by our state, which is great. It helped me tremendously. After that, we didn't have it, but then everything kept going and going. So I never went and got any more help. But I finally had to sit down, the night terrors, the cold sweats. I mean, you name it, watch it over my back every day. The anxiety got me. I finally had a man up say, listen, I got a problem. And I went and seeked help and seek counseling.
I have said it before that officers don't like the word help. They don't like the word help. But backup, think about it. You don't think it weak to call for backup if you're on a bad call.
Absolutely not. Smart.
And when your backup officer gets there, he doesn't razz you about having to call backup because you understand the severity of the situation you're in. And officers don't understand the severity of the mental anguish that comes along with the job. And especially after you've had a traumatic event, an officer-involved shooting, the riots that are going around right now, especially as that is encroaching on you, you just like after every time you fire your weapon, you need to clean your weapon. After you've gone through a traumatic event, you need to clean the weapon that you use every day.
I agree with that because I
I want to say this. This officer, he's one of the best DUI officers that I've encountered. At least it's a good belief.
Right.
But what happened was, he's out there working, and I failed to mention this. It's on it's at a checkpoint, so there's a lot of moving parts,
Right.
and things are happening. So, lo and behold, he writes this affidavit. He says, "Hey, my camera was inoperable." So I get the video. I look at the video. There's one of his fellow officers. They're there, and they're telling him, they're saying, "Hey, I can't see it," because she's looking to make sure it's recorded. But in his report, he writes, it just wasn't working.
Right.
Now, the case ended up getting dismissed, but the reason I'm pointing that out is it happens. So I think they have to really be thorough in what they put in the reports, because it's going to be picked apart
Oh, absolutely.
after the fact.
I tell a bit on stage when I was a cop, but I got a DUI, the first one I ever got. And the guy beats me in the back of his car. Back then he used to do that. And he's staggering and he's like, I'm drunk, take me to jail. I'm like, hang on a second, I gotta go through all these things. I just can't take you to jail. So how much have you had to drink? He said, well, I had a six pack this morning and a fifth of liquor this afternoon, and we drank a keg just a little while ago. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to put you on the breathalyzer. He's like, why? Don't you believe me? Of course that never happened as a joke, but
I have a question for you. What's a row farmer?
Row crop farmer.
A row crop farmer. What is that?
Row crop. This is going to sound confusing, but it means we plant stuff in rows. Cotton, corn, soybeans, peanuts, the basic things planted in rows.
Things planted in rows. Hey, that's good enough for me. I was just wondering. So, there's a lot of people
Everything's
probably don't-
planted in rows. I never really thought about that. I mean, tomatoes are planted in rows, but that's a truck crop.
Candace?
So my name is Candace Gleason, and I was born and raised right here in Darlington, South Carolina. When I was in high school, we had a class called Health Occupations, and we were able to go out into the community, different health jobs, and just decide if that was something that we liked to do. And the first day that I went to EMS, I decided that day that's what I wanted to do, which was interesting because before that day I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I worked in EMS for 20 years.
Sure. So a lot of that goes on. So I definitely don't like to burn it down before the protesting, quiet, and letting everybody know the injustice, how the criminal system works, how it is against us. I don't mind that at all. But we all, every last one of us, have to take action. Now, it'll sound good. When blacks protesting, it's fine. But when we have more of our white brothers and sisters marching with us and speaking up, that speaks volume.
Well, that speaks volume. That's the thing too. Is a lot of these protests that you see, they're not just black folks.
No, it's not
protesting. There's a lot of different kinds of folks.
It is.
And my issue is, once again, I have no issue with, hey, I'm holding my hand up. I'm saying let's change this.
Yes.
I don't see it benefiting anyone for people getting hurt, property being lost, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So I think we can totally agree on that. Because we all know, and I'm sure the captain agrees with me, you don't have perfect employees, and they're not always going to make perfect choices, and they're not always going to be in perfect situations. As a matter of fact, very seldom are they in a perfect situation. So Captain Joe Nell of Troop 5 of the South Carolina Highway Patrol, not in uniform today, because he is more than just that gray uniform that is kind of synonymous with the South Carolina Highway Patrol. You guys actually were voted the best dressed troopers by GQ one year, I remember.
Yes, sir.
Because I remember a trooper who will remain nameless who was walking around with that magazine telling everybody how good he looked. But anyway, that's a story for another day. That's kind of amazing because you don't look a day over 74. I'm just saying. I mean, you're wearing your age well, pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, for the most part. You sure?
I'll let you have that.
You're sure you're only 54?
That's all.
Okay.
54.
All right. Well, okay.
He's got jokes.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the first fire department I can remember is the Praetorian Guard for Caesar, I think. And they were firemen too. Were you in that brigade?
I was the one right before that.
The one right before that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. How have you personally been able to maintain a healthy mental state of being after being around that much tragedy? That must be tough.
Yeah, in Kenya,
in the Afunde house, which was right next to the embassy. The first floor got blown out of the Sunday house, and the building, the 7-story building, just came down on itself.
Wow.
We recovered 196 bodies out of that building in 6 days.
Wow.
That works on you.
And this is a very difficult question. And because I know how I feel about it. I have 2 daughters, one that's 25, one that's 21. And I know I personally missed a lot of time with them growing up. And I would give back all of the time that I had to spend more time with them when they were small. That is my deepest regret. And, you know, that's something I'll have to live with. And, you know, you can never make it up. You know, I love them. Megan and Taylor are my 2 daughters, and I love them to death. There's nothing more I love on this planet more than I do them. And that's a fact. I love them more than I do my own life. And I know you have daughters and grandchildren that you do, but a loss that you suffered that it is so significant, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention is that in the last several years of your career, you lost your wife.
Okay, here we go. One last shot, probably somewhere in here. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen. So light them up, Ben. That's a really big hole, man.
Look at the pellet spread.
Oh, wow, that's nice, dude.
Greetings and welcome once again to I've Got Your Six from CopBlue. So you've been sitting there with your pants unzipped this whole time. So thank you for sharing your year with us at I've Got Your Six from CopBlue.com. We'd like to wish you and all of your family and connected friends and fellow officers a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And the biggest thing and the most important thing that you can remember is to hit that clock and go home safe. So until 2021,